and welcome back to another episode of Vibrant You. Today we are going beyond the body and we are talking about the spiritual meaning of dis-ease and the mind-body significance behind your most common symptoms. So from the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine to cutting-edge insights of modern science, we are going to be uncovering the threads that really bind our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and the physical experiences and symptoms that we may encounter on our health and healing journey. So we are going to explore in this episode the mind-body connection and the spiritual meaning behind 10 of the most common health conditions or symptoms, from period cramps to digestive issues to thyroid problems, back pain, headaches, weight gain, and so much more. So let's dive right into it. There is a profound connection between your emotional states and your physical symptoms. And we call this the science, the study of psychosomatics, or the study of the mind and the body and the connection between the mind and body. And what we've learned from the science of psychosomatics is that we can manifest our mental, our emotional states into the physical tissues of the body. I say we hold our issues in our tissues, right? Emotions are simply emotions. Energy in motion. And the emotions that we experience, they're not good, not bad. They're simply feelings to be felt. However, if we don't process the emotions that we experience on a day-to-day basis up here in our heads, that energy has to go somewhere. And it will transcend from the subtlety of our mind into the gross, into the density of our body, and manifest that energy into the physical tissues of the body. What we don't process in our minds, it will manifest in our body. And we have such common expressions in our English language that validate that as being true. We've all said this before. Oh, when I lost my dog, I was worried sick, right? I was so worried in my mind about my dog running away that I made myself sick. My body felt sick as a response to that emotional worry. Or maybe you've had the experience of my legs were just shaking in fear. Right after I almost got hit on my motorbike, my legs were just shaking uncontrollably. Or maybe you've felt this before, where you were holding back tears. There was a physical manifestation of this like lump in your throat to withhold that felt sense of sensation of crying. I was holding back tears. That's what we say. We may experience shoulder pain or tension as this sense of burden, this emotional burden. We say, I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. That's the physical manifestation of shoulder and neck pain as a result of burden and carrying excess tension in our body. I think one of the most obvious ways that really validates the mind-body connection and how our mental, emotional states influence the matter, the very real aspect of our physical body, and that is the experience of heartbreak. We've all experienced loss and heartache and heartbreak in one moment or another. And when we hear the news of a loss or a breakup or a death, what happens in our physical body? We feel physically heartbroken. There's a palpable and tangible pain, a sharpness, a tension in the chest where we even collapse our shoulders forward and hollow out our chest to try to protect ourselves from the emotional vulnerability of that heartache and that heartbreak. Another one, a lighter one, is I had butterflies in my stomach. I was so excited that I felt butterflies in my stomach, this fluttering of excitement and bubbling almost through my stomach. All of these are examples that our body doesn't lie. And our emotional experiences, as well as our physical symptoms, tell an emotional story. Many different places have spoken of this for a long time. Of course, ancient wisdom and many lineages of ancient wisdom have spoken to the power of the mind-body connection. Ancient Ayurveda from India and traditional Chinese medicine from China has expressed that different organs in our physical body are associated with different emotions, or are the seat of different emotions. Ayurveda says that liver is the seat of anger, and any imbalances with pitta dosha, or an imbalance of fire element in the body, can be an imbalance in the liver, right? Of stored, held, suppressed anger or rage. And a part of the healing process then becomes, of course, to heal the physical liver, but also to tap into and start to release some of the stuck anger and frustrations and tensions that we're holding and storing inside of the liver. ancient yoga, right? If you've ever practiced yoga before, you may have heard of your yoga teacher express about the chakras, the various energy centers in the body. And there's such a vast knowledge into this subtle energy body where, right, we have our 7 primary chakras running up the spine, from the root chakra at the base of our spine to our crown chakra at the top of the head. And, there's 7 along the way, and how energy flows in and out of these energy centers. And a blockage in one of these energy centers, which can be from a blockage of emotions, or we call it samskaras in Sanskrit, can cause, physical manifestations to the area of which that chakra is connected. And we'll maybe speak more of what those are in a moment. And then there's modern science, and modern science is now starting to validate what ancient wisdom has known for thousands of years about this mind-body connection. And there's even a recent study, and I'll see if I can link it up in the show notes, speaking to the bodily map of emotions, where they did a study with a wide variety of people. And they asked these people to reflect on different emotional experiences and to actually feel the visceral feelings, the sensations of sadness and anger and joy and excitement and gratitude, to feel those emotions in their physical body and to collectively map out and to color in which parts of their body feel excited or feel activated and which parts of their body feel suppressed or depressed or there's less activity. And they've mapped out very collectively that we all have a very similar, if not the same, so similar that it's almost the same experience of how emotions land in our physical body. That's why for all of us, right? When we feel so worried, we feel I worried myself sick. And we feel that there's this almost loss of blood flow, or like we almost feel like we got hit in the stomach when we receive a shocking news or something that hits our system quite intensely. All of this to say that there is, I personally believe, a deep intelligence behind the symptoms that we may be experiencing when it comes to our health. And this is an opportunity to deepen our awareness and to empower ourselves to heal at the deepest levels, especially if you are the type of person that you're doing everything right when it comes to your health. You're eating the right foods, you are exercising well, you're staying hydrated, you do your best to take care of your stress, but still, you're not seeing the improvements with your health that you truly desire to. It's an opportunity to look at the mind, body, and connection and see perhaps how some of your mental, emotional states, the thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold about yourself, and the emotions that may be stuck or trapped inside of the body, withheld in the nerves and within the very tissues and organs of your system, how that may be influencing your health status and your physical symptoms. Before we get into the actual top 10 most common health conditions and the spiritual meaning behind them, I just want to give a quick little compassionate disclaimer. And as we go through these different health conditions and explore the possible emotional connections or spiritual meanings behind those, I just want to say that whatever comes up for you through hearing that, I want you to know that this isn't something to blame yourself for. So I know for myself personally, in my health journey, one of the first books that changed and impacted my life and my health back in the day when I was having seizures on almost a daily basis and practically living in hospital, one of the first books that I read to really empower myself on the health and healing journey was a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I highly recommend it. She has intuitively, from her own experience and her own connection to the divine or God or the universe or her own highest self, her prefrontal cortex, whatever you want to call that part of us that can connect to highest wisdom and knowledge, is she has mapped out various physical symptoms and the emotional or spiritual meaning behind them, and she's connected them to a certain affirmation as to how we can start to heal the emotional root of these things. And it's a powerful book, and I highly recommend it, and it was very impactful for me early on in my health journey. However, I will say that I took it maybe to too far of an extreme, where instead of it allowing this knowledge to empower me to heal and to get well, I almost used the message as like a way of disempowering myself or blaming myself, making myself at fault. And I almost started to feel afraid of feeling anger because I didn't want to have liver problems, or afraid of expressing my sadness because I didn't want to have an asthma attack. So I say just this compassionate disclaimer of Notice in your body. Take this with a grain of salt and notice in your body as you're listening. Does this knowledge empower you? Does this help you to maybe deepen your awareness on the mind-body connection and see how, okay, maybe there are some emotional factors that might be contributing to my physical symptoms? Or do you notice as you listen to me share, does this feel disempowering to you? And do you find yourself blaming yourself or shaming yourself or making yourself wrong for it? Of course, my intention is the former, where I hope that this empowers you, but I do want you to have just a lens of discretion and discernment as you listen to ensure that you're not making yourself wrong, as there are very real physical things and we will have emotional experiences. So just wanted to say that cute little disclaimer to you. Let's get into it. What are the top 10 most common health conditions or symptoms that we may experience and their psychosomatic or mind, body, or spiritual meaning behind them? And all of these that I'm about to share are personal experiences that I have personally had. And I have combined, the knowledge of ancient Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine with modern science and, understanding how blood flows in the body through emotional states, and primarily actually just from my own lived experience, my own intuition, and how I have experienced these symptoms and what I've noticed about my own emotional states beyond those physical symptoms. Okay, let's get into it. So the first most common health condition and a possible mind-body meaning behind it is digestive issues. So if you experience digestive issues from bloating, gas, IBS, loose stools, constipation, whatever it may be, what I found is that this often boils down to worry, some form of anxiety. It can be, imagine on an emotional level, it being symbolically difficult to digest or to process our emotions or physical experiences. And so when our emotions feel hard to digest, then our digestive fire that is meant to digest food inside of the body also becomes tampered with and it becomes diminished. So much of the digestive experiences that we have really boil down to that emotional anxiety, right? That knot in our stomach, that constant worry, that constant feeling of unsafety and feeling unwell in our environments. So I know that's been the case for me, absolutely, is there's just a lot of stress and anxiety and worry associated with digestive issues and an opportunity to heal your body and mind at that level. The second most common health issue is menstrual cycle issues. So whether it's irregular periods, painful periods, you're getting period cramps, these types of things. The menstrual cycle really is in the seat of the womb, right? The uterus. And in ancient yogic philosophy, we say this is the seat of our second chakra, or the second primary energy center, called our sacral chakra or Svadhisthana chakra. What this really speaks to is our connection to our femininity. One of the biggest spiritual reasons behind, menstrual cycle issues that I see for women is that we may be holding on to a disconnect from our feminine nature. We may be in a moment or have a lifestyle of really not honoring our feminine cycle, not honoring the feminine in us. Do you find yourself pushing and hustling and constantly doing and achieving and feeling guilty or feeling a level of shame for resting, for receiving? And this second chakra, that can be a cause, an energetic cause behind some of these menstrual cycle issues, is that this is also a very possible seat of guilt or shame. So are we holding on to any guilt or shame about our body? Have we been shamed for our physical body, for our yoni, our vulva? Have we experienced shame around those areas before? Are we feeling disconnected from that part of us? So many of our menstrual cycle issues really stem from that disconnect from our feminine nature and from that part of our physical anatomy. The third top most common health condition and the spiritual meaning behind it is thyroid issues. So when we think of the subtle energy body, we have at the area of the throat. If you've ever done yoga, you've heard of the throat chakra, Vishuddhi chakra. And this is located, an energy center located at the center of the throat. And its responsibility, it's really responsible for self-expression, it's our energy center of communication, of expressing ourselves, speaking our truth, speaking the truth. And just like if you've ever felt yourself holding back your tears, and that manifests as that lump in your throat, you can feel the tears welling up from within you and you're almost choking it down. You feel this tension, this constriction in your throat area when you hold back tears. And this is really compressing and constricting the throat area. And what gets affected is our thyroid, located at the base of the throat. And so when we have this constant constriction from holding back, not saying what we want to say, not expressing ourselves fully, not allowing ourselves to feel our sadness and to allow our tears to come instead of choking back and holding them down. A lot of the thyroid-based issues that I see in clients is one of the main questions. Of course, we do the protocol, and of course there's herbs involved and nutrition and stress reduction and exercise. There's so much that goes into it. But often a deeper question that I'll ask is, where are you not expressing yourself fully? And often the woman will reply, she'll say, I've wanted to change my career forever, but I haven't had the confidence. I feel like I can't really live my truth. I can't be my authentic self. She's holding that back. Or another woman, she'll say, I've known that my partner's been cheating on me and I can't speak up and say something about it. Or there's an injustice going on somewhere and I feel too ashamed to say something. I can't speak up. Right? I feel like I can't express myself in that space. I don't feel safe. A lot of the thyroid-based issues that we may notice, a question to ask yourself is, where am I not expressing myself fully? And by expressing that on an energetic level, we open up that throat chakra, allow energy and prana or chi or life force to circulate in that energy center again. And on a physiological level, when we stop biting our tongue and holding back our truth and suppressing our voice, we're actually freeing up that lump, that physical lump that we get in our throat when we're withholding our truth, withholding our sadness or our emotions, for example, that cuts off our blood flow and cuts off blood supply to our thyroid, giving it the very nutrients that it needs to be vital and well and vibrant. So this is thyroid issues. Speak your truth. The fourth is headaches and or migraines. Oftentimes, the psychosomatic meaning of headaches or migraines is, of course, stress, right? Where are you repressing your emotions? Where are you holding on to mental tensions? Where are you feeling hard-headed, right? Or stubborn in your way of thinking? Where are you not embracing flexibility in your thoughts or not able to see things from another perspective? And kind of that deeper emotional or spiritual meaning could really signify a need to release that emotional pressure. Imagining that your crown chakra, this energy center in the head, is like a pressure cooker. And when we're trying to hold it all in, right, we're building up that steam, that pressure builds. Eventually, we're boiling inside and our head is like, being cooked. We got to let the lid off. We have to release some of that emotional pressure. And that may come in the form of confronting unresolved issues or reconnecting with our intuition. There's a big piece in headaches and migraines in stress reduction and releasing emotional pressures that we're holding on to inside of our mind. Number 5 is weight gain. This one I think is quite relatable, and I know that I've been there in my own health and healing journey as well. Weight gain can really be an emotional armor. When we overeat, or even if we're not overeating and we're just noticing a weight gain, I know for me in my past, it was really the weight that I gained was not as much physical as it was emotional. My weight gain actually came as like a protective layer, a seeking of safety. So for women that have experienced emotional trauma, it's really easy to subconsciously want to gain weight, right? Almost as a protection or an emotional armor. So for me, I experienced a lot of sexual trauma in my past. And from that experience, I didn't learn this until years of meditating and self-reflection, but I subconsciously wanted to gain weight because I didn't want to feel attractive to men. I didn't want the attention from men. And so I gained weight, physical matter. I wore baggy clothes. I expressed myself in a world in a very masculine way so as to subconsciously not be attractive to men, therefore to protect me from the male gaze, therefore to protect my physical body from harm. So imagine that we're gaining weight for a reason. And what is it that this weight gain is trying to protect you from? Being seen? Being loved? Being witnessed in the world? Is there a deeper need that's actually being met by your weight gain? Emotional comfort, right? What is this layer that you're holding upon your very self, your very being to protect you from the outside world? What is that? So this is weight gain. Number 6, allergies. So this was my entire childhood. I lived all of my life until I'd say the last few years of really diving into healing my gut health, deepening my understanding of the mind-body connection, doing a lot of emotional work and release from my nervous system. So much of the allergies that we experience, right? Especially environmental allergies where we're just sneezing at dust and cat hair and mold and things floating around in our environment, the atmosphere. So much of our allergies is emotionally feeling unsafe in our environments. So allergies symbolically are really overreacting to our environment emotionally. And our body takes in the dust through our sinuses and has this overreaction to something that's actually not unsafe. It's this overreaction to our environment. And almost always, people with allergies, there's a level of not feeling safe in their environments. For whatever reason, externally everything might be safe, but something inside of them doesn't feel safe. Whether it's I don't feel safe to be seen, I'm feeling a level of anxiety in my environment for one reason or another. Maybe it's an environment that isn't so healthy and supportive. There's something off in your interactions with the people in that environment, or there's something off in the environment itself that's triggering a deep emotional reaction. And this is often subtle and unconscious, but there's almost always an emotional layer to allergies. Fun fact, I lived my entire life with allergies, and every time that I would go to my mom's house, she has many cats, many dogs, and I grew up with pets and animals all around, and I was in a constant emotional or allergic state. And I've even gone into anaphylaxis before from eating certain foods. So I've had high levels of allergies, extreme, like life-threatening allergies that I've experienced. And through all this healing work, now I live in Bali and I have 2 cats of myself. I have 0 allergies with them. And my first time, going back to Canada was just a few months ago, and I was at my mom's place. And normally being in her house, which unfortunately there's just like a lot of history there for me and a lot of emotions that get brought up. And it's beautiful and I love it. And there's been so much healing and there was so much goodness in that house without a doubt. But it was amazing to see that after years of going back there and having crazy allergic reactions and needing to live on Benadryl every time that I was there, that this last time of going back, I did not have a single allergy. I don't even think I sneezed the entire time. Nothing in the house changed, but I really changed my inner experience. I really changed my relationship to the house, to the place, to my memories, to my experiences. Didn't have a single allergy. It is possible, and there is a profound mind-body connection. Next one we'll get into is asthma, the lungs, right? Lungs are the seat of kapha in Ayurveda, which is the earth element. It's cold, it's damp, it's a heaviness. From a mind-body perspective, asthma is really the seat of grief or sadness. I also lived with asthma my entire life growing up, and so much of it I knew to be suppressed grief, suppressed sadness, or what do we say in English? We say, I've got to get something off my chest. There's like a relief in getting that thing off of our chest, that thing that we've been holding on to, that suppressed, sadness or loss that we've been holding on to. Asthma is very similar to allergies of not feeling safe, but I'd say that there's a deeper layer of suppressing grief. It's hard to breathe. And even nowadays, I'll notice that when I'm in grief, it's actually profound, the mind-body connection. I don't have any asthma anymore, no breathing issues whatsoever. And when I'm grieving, when there's sadness, like my grandfather passed away a few months ago, actually both of my grandfathers in the last year, and both times I have had an energetic asthma attack. It's not physical, but it's so much grief that I'm processing. And as I'm crying and sobbing, I'll start coughing like crazy. And it's really like coughing up those emotions that I'm holding on to inside of my lungs through that loss. If you experience allergies or asthma, where are you not feeling safe in your environments? And where might you be holding on to suppressed grief or sadness or loss that wants to be felt and seen? Okay, next one is UTIs or yeast infections. So this is again speaking to the second chakra, that energy center of the womb space. And oftentimes for women, this can be related to being angry, resentful at the opposite sex, unwanted sex, or not feeling so connected through sex, or not having the most fulfilling experiences, not feeling great with your sexual interactions, or it can be suppressed sexual energy. Oftentimes, and I know that this has been in my own body as well, I've had just a couple of UTIs or vaginal yeast infections in my life. And so much of it really comes from the relationships that I was in and my sexual experiences that I was having that didn't feel so good in my body, and my body had a physical reaction to that. So that's an interesting one to know. Okay, number 8, back pain. So lower back pain, especially, this could really be related to carrying the emotional burdens of life or feeling unsupported. Symbolically, your back, your spine, it's your backbone, right? It's got your back. It's your primary physical support that holds your body upright. So this may be, if you're experiencing lower back pain, where are you feeling unsupported in your life? Where are you feeling like you're carrying emotional burdens? Where are you carrying the weight of the world on your body, on your spine? We even say when we start to hold too much burden, we say about like it was the straw that broke the camel's back. If we're carrying so much, there's that last little thing that just gets put onto our back, put onto our shoulders, and then we experience the back pain. That's the psychosomatic connection of back pain. Next one, let's talk chronic fatigue, burnout, exhaustion, adrenal fatigue. This is, of course, always associated with prolonged stress, burnout. Of course, there can be like underlying medical conditions without a doubt. But on an emotional or a spiritual level, almost always, when we have been in a level of chronic fatigue for a period of time and nothing seems to be working, where are you not living in alignment with your true purpose? Where are you feeling disconnected from your joy, your aliveness? Where are you not allowing yourself permission to rest? Where are you hustling and pushing through? Where are you spiritually feeling depleted by certain relationships or environments or workplaces? And how can you recharge? And recharge is not just have a nap. I mean, your soul needs to recharge. You've been giving your body the rest that it needs. Maybe you're sleeping 8 hours a night. You're not doing too much activity-wise, but your soul constantly feels drained. So where is your soul being drained? What environments? What workplace? What interactions or relationships or experiences? Where are you disconnected from that which nourishes your soul and brings you to life? That's what burnout is. It's not from doing too much. It's from not doing enough of what lights your soul on fire and brings you that life force. Finally, number 10, skin conditions. So things like acne, eczema, psoriasis. So often this is linked to stress, unresolved emotions. So our skin is our largest organ, right? And both on a physiological level, what we can't process through our detox organs, through the bowels, through our urinary system, what we can't release in that direction, those toxins or pathogens or heavy metals, whatever's built up in our system, if it can't be processed through those detox organs, it will express itself through the skin. It's like the body's last way of trying to detoxify. It will push it out through the skin, and physically it can create skin inflammation, acne, eczema, all those things. On an emotional level, of course, it's where am I not processing my emotions up here in my mind, that energy has to go somewhere, and it's not being processed by my mental organs of elimination through crying, through getting angry and expressing those emotions, that energy will start to seep out through our skin and cause inflammation, cause irritation, cause redness. It's as though these emotional states are being written all over our body when we're not able to feel it in a healthy way. Of course, skin issues, often it's rooted in self-esteem issues or the need for emotional release. Again, skin issues can be just like weight gain, an emotional armor, and it's an opportunity to really work on self-acceptance, self-compassion, kindness towards ourselves. Those are the top 10 most common health conditions or symptoms and their psychosomatic, their possible mind, body, or even spiritual meaning or connection. All of these emotional states and the thoughts that we think really are written in and all over our body. And again, there's a great book if you'd like to learn more. Like everything that I shared here is again a combination of ancient Ayurvedic wisdom, yogic wisdom, modern science, and primarily my own lived experience and intuition. But there's this great book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. I totally recommend it. And I just want you to know that a lot of these health things that we experience, sometimes we just get stamped with the label of, oh, it's genetic. There's nothing you can do about it. I know for me, in my genes, in my genetic code and my family history, there's a lot of thyroid issues. That's in my genetics, is that I'm predisposed for thyroid issues. Will I ever experience thyroid issues? I hope not. I'm being very active to keep those genes turned off. Genetics are not destiny. Genetics aren't written in the stars. Just because you have a gene for something doesn't mean that gene will be expressed. Genetics load the gun. Can't change our genes, but it's lifestyle, it's diet, it's stress that points the gun, and it's often an event, a situation that happens in our life, a trauma or a big emotional event that pulls the trigger on that gun. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Really understanding that there's almost always an event, a deeper emotional layer, a culmination of emotional experiences that lead up to that gene of being actually expressed. So we have our genotype, right? That's our genetics. We can't change our genetics. We can't change if we're predisposed for breast cancer or heart disease or thyroid issues or autoimmune issues, whatever it is. But we have our phenotype, which is how that gene is actually expressed. So that genotype is the unique DNA. It makes up our genetic composition. It makes us maybe prone to certain specific things, but it's our phenotype that of how those genes are actually expressed. And so much of our phenotype of what turns those genes on and off is our emotional nature, is our stress levels, our lifestyle, our diet, and so on. The genes aren't destiny, and this is an opportunity to just explore the mind-body connection. Again, we're not using this information to blame ourselves, to shame ourselves, to make ourselves wrong. We're also not taking it as fact. Sometimes things just happen, and that sucks. And we can really question and see, is there any deeper layers to this? And if so, how can I actively work on the emotional, the spiritual side of these health symptoms to create the deepest level of healing for myself? That is all for today, my loves. I would love to hear, what is your top takeaway from this episode? What's the main thing that you learned or realized or an insight? And is there any physical symptoms that you would love to explore the spiritual or emotional meaning behind? If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you over on Instagram at Bindi Stables. And I'd love to hear your questions, your takeaways. And I will see you back for another episode real soon. Take care.